Thank you so much, and I'll give it back to Angelita.
Okay, thank you, Ale, and thank you to your students. So when the students were presenting, they shared a lot about the resources, the services that they participated here in MJC. And so in your packet or in your folder, your program, there's a double-sided sheet of all of the services and resources within that we offer here at the college, within student services. There's contact and email information in there. And then at the end of this event, we're also having a little mini resource fair for you right outside those doors. And a lot of those programs are going to be here today to be able to answer your questions, share information. So please take advantage of those resources before you leave today. Okay, so I would like to invite up one of our amazing counselors, Belen Robinson, to please join me, and we're going to be sharing information about guided pathways.
Good morning. Okay, there you go. I was gonna say. All right, I'm not used to doing this, so we'll see if I do okay. So I'm Belen Robinson, and I'm also one of the co-leads for the Guided Pathways. Are all of you familiar with Guided Pathways? No? I got some no's. Okay. Well, I'll go over it in just a minute with you so you get to learn a little bit about it if you haven't had that opportunity. I'm also a counselor and professor here at MJC, and the school that I'm part of the cohort of is the School of Language, Arts, and Education. So this is our 4 pillars for guided pathways. We have clarifying the path, enter the path, stay on the path, and ensure learning. So some of you got to meet Tina Jerome last year. I actually replaced her. She was the initial guided pathways co-lead. So we have two leads. We have one that represents student services, and then we have one that represents instruction. So I represent student services. When Tina was in this role, they focused, her and her co-lead, focused on the first 2, clarifying the path and entering the path. So if you see, the first one looks at create clear curricular pathways to employment and further education. And the second one was help students choose and enter their pathway. So you guys have seen along the way, if you go to our MJC website, that we have created some pathways for students to try to figure out, like, what classes should I be taking in the first semester? And I'm going to show you in a minute where to find that if you don't know how to do that. But we got our faculty together and our counselors, and we came up with maybe the first 15 recommended courses that they might want to take in the first semester in the area that either in terms of their major or in their school. So I'll show you that in a little bit. Stay on the path, help students stay on their path is, we just heard counseling, right? Counselors are so important at MJC. That's part of their core step when they're first coming in, so make sure that you remember that when you work talking with your students, that they need to meet with us. And enrollment services, like we had Smart Start this year, they tried that out. We've had new student days and so forth. So be paying attention to that. I know that Christy goes out and talks to you guys and lets you know what we're doing. But one of the core steps is to meet with us so that we can make sure that the courses that they pick, make sense and that they're not overloading themselves, especially in the first semester. We want them to be successful. And then the last one is, well, 3 and 4 is where we're at right now. So the last one looks at follow through and ensure that better practices are providing improved student results. So we're now looking at how do we help students be successful in their classes, not just like the services that we have to offer, but also in curriculum. And so you're going to hear a lot of talk about contextualized teaching and learning. I'll go over that with you in just a minute. All right, so these are the key elements of guided pathways. So programs that are fully mapped out and aligned, proactive academic and career advising, responsive student tracking systems, redesigning and integrating basic skills, developing education classes. So if you guys notice, a lot of our basic skills classes are no longer. They're now using some of our transfer courses to incorporate that information so that the students are actually getting it all within that area, right? So that what the studies were showing is when they took a lot of the basic, let's say maths or even English, students would get stuck there. So we didn't want them to be stuck there. We wanted them to keep moving forward. So that was part of the redesigning. Structure onboarding processes, and then instructional support and co-curricular activities. 3 areas that we're focusing on this year as part of my role in this area is contextualized teaching and learning, proactive faculty advising, and credit for prior learning. And all of these include diversity, equity, and inclusion. It's always in the back of our minds to make sure that that's being implemented. So contextualized teaching and learning draws on students' diverse skills and interests, experiences, and culture. It integrates these into what and how students learn and how they are assessed, situates learning and learning activities into real and vocational settings, incorporates content that the what of learning, and incorporates a reason why the learning is important. So you hear students that will say, well, I don't understand why I have to take this class. Doesn't even make any sense, right? So those are the kinds of things that we're trying to help them understand, that, you know, all the classes, you know, help you be more holistic person, right? You're getting exposed to different information. Not everybody, you know, in Modesto, our families get those opportunities to be out and explore different things. So hopefully they'll get that through us. And then proactive faculty advising. Oh, let me go back to contextualized teaching and learning, just so you guys know. One of the things we're working on right now is that our teachers, professors, are trying to work with each other in terms of collaborating on certain subject matters so that they can make those connections for the students. For instance, medical terminology. The teacher might hook up with a math teacher that could address the math part of that major so that they can make sense within one of the math classes that they're taking. Does that make sense? I think that sounds exciting to me. Okay, and so we have several of these faculty members that are now making those connections, and we're hoping that we'll be able to kick some of these classes off by fall of 2023. Proactive faculty advising is looking at wraparound services. Sorry about that. So we're looking at the student working with the counselor, working with faculty within their major in their school, and then also using the student success team member to support students in areas that they might be lacking, maybe need some support, right? We want their toolkit to be full. So the gaps where they need filling, we have our success specialists that might help them, but say they need housing, or they need to talk about their financial aid or that kind of stuff, and they can refer them to the right people and help them get those connections so that we can get those things going so that they can start like everybody else and not have to be worried about those kinds of things. Our proactive faculty advising, you guys are familiar with the student success team model in the K-12. So this is kind of our version of that, right? Make sure that the student is being supported in all ways, but also that they can talk to a faculty member in their school in a major that they're really interested in, where they can give them additional information in terms of that area, right? We're counselors. How many of you counselors know everything? My boss raised my hand. You know, we don't know everything. We know a lot. We have to know a lot, but we don't know everything. So it's nice to refer them to somebody that specializes in that career area that can give them more input, and so that they can, you know, maybe get some of the questions answered that we might not be able to do. And then credit for prior learning is one of the state required areas, and it's also part of our guided pathways emphasis, is looking at how can we give students, new students, whether they're coming from high school, whether they're coming from the community, credit for something that they already have experience in. So instead of just doing what we call a prerequisite challenge, right? You don't have to take this class because it looks like you have enough so you can start at the second class. Well, how about we give you credit for the first class? We actually put it on your transcript. We give you credit for that, the units for that, and a grade. That's what credit for prior learning is. And there is no limit on it. So teachers have suggested some of their classes and it's ongoing. So that's a new thing that we were implementing. And the person you want to contact is Tina Jerome. She's our coordinator for that. Tina Jerome, Giron. That way you're not calling me, you call her. She's gonna love it. Okay. So if you go to our MJC.edu website, you will see, if you scroll down the page a little bit, you'll see all our schools listed. We are now official. So we've been talking about making it official. It's taken a little while, but we are literally official now. So administrative is now in the loop. It's gone through our academic senate. It's gone through, every step that it needs to be approved. So we are now no longer divisions. We are now schools. So when you go to our website, you'll see all of our schools listed on there. How many of you did not know that was there? Okay, so a lot of you do. Awesome. All right, here we go. So when you go to that website, if you pick one of the schools, every single one of them will have a little intro video for your students, for yourself, if you want to watch it. Then you'll see all of these different icons. So we have to get started. So in there, if it's a brand new student, they can go in there and they can click and they can apply to come to MJC. So we have the link in there. Get direction will look at the different majors that are part of that school. And then Get Connected will give you all the faculty and staff that are part of that student's school with their pictures and how to get a hold of them and so forth. I'm only going to focus on those three. You guys can explore on your own for the others. Otherwise, I'll be here forever. All right, so Get Direction, this is what it would look like. Here's the course roadmap. So it gives you all of the majors in that school. And then if you see the little arrow going to the right, if I were to pick agriculture, business, AST, you will see the first 15 roadmap for students. Now this is going to change a little bit. Right now this is the way it is, but we do have our mapper coming, and I'll talk to you guys a little bit more about that, which will incorporate this into like a ed plan so that they can see what it might look like for 2 years for them. Okay, so this is Get Connected. So it'll have, I don't have a picture of everybody on it, but it'll have your faculty advisors. We actually have a librarian that's assigned to different schools so that they can contact the librarian that's part of their school. We have financial aid technicians, career center specialists, evaluators, and so forth. So they all have somebody representing each one of our areas in their school. And right now they are updating. We do have some people that have retired and so forth. So some little few changes in some of the schools, but they're in the process of updating this. But the counselors are still the same except for ag, and that one will be, hopefully it'll be updated soon. Okay, programs to help move along. So here we go, program pathways mapper. So the mapper provides sample roadmaps. So it'll show like an education plan sample, right? That incorporates those first 15s and all the actual courses that a student may take in their major to be done in a couple of years. Now some may take a little longer depending on what they pick. So if they're going into engineering and they have all these extra math classes, it might take them a little bit longer, right? But technically, approximately 60 units takes 2 years if they're going to summer school, right? Because 12 units is full time. So if they're taking 12 each semester, they're still going to be lacking 6 units. So we always encourage them to take like 6 units in the summer. Some students can handle 15 units a semester, most can't. So we encourage them to take 12, 12, and 6 in the summer. And then obviously the Starfish, for those of you that are not familiar, when you go to the MJC website, again, you'll see these icons. Starfish is our education plan mapper. So when they come and see us initially, and in the first semester, when that's one of the core steps, we usually just do a 1 semester plan. There is no way we could sit there and do full comprehensive education plans in the beginning. It's very crazy. Then after that, we ask them to, well, normally we will recommend that they, normally they will recommend that, we will recommend that they'll take a guidance course. Now let me ask you a question real quick. How many of you knew exactly what you wanted to do when you first started, when you were going to go to college? I knew exactly what you were going to do. Okay. How many of, did you stay? Did you stick with it? Awesome. How many of you knew what you wanted to do but then changed your major? See? So you did think you knew what you wanted to do, but then you changed, so we had more hands up. So even though your student might say, this is what I want to do, we really encourage them to take our Guide 111. That's one of our onboarding schools. So we do, our new onboarding process is for them to take a guidance course. And each school may recommend a different guidance course, but the career awareness or exploration is a really good class because it's either going to validate that that's what they really want to do, or it's going to give them other options that they didn't consider. I'll finish with a little story. So I had a student come in and saw me a couple years ago, and she was determined she was going to be a veterinarian. And I said, are you sure? And I asked her all kinds of questions. I'm going to be a veterinarian. And I said, okay, this is what I want you to do. I'm going to want you to go and shadow, somebody in a clinic, a vet clinic, a hospital. Go for an hour. And then also ask if you can interview the veterinarian so you can ask questions. So I made an appointment for her to come back and to see me 2 weeks later. And 2 weeks later, when she showed up, she comes into my office. She kind of has this somber look on her face, and she says, I need to change my major. I'm like, what do you mean you need to change your major? Like, you were so, determined. And she said, so, before I tell you what she said, what do you think made her change her mind? Somebody raise their hand or shout it out. What was that? Animals dying? No. Blood? No. Schooling? No. Who said that? Smells. Right? Our TV doesn't have scratch and sniff, do that? Our TV show us all this stuff, and we're like, I can handle the blood, I can handle if I have to put an animal down. She gets in there, right? That's what I call the behind the scenes stuff that we're not aware of until we actually go and kind of expose ourselves to it. So she goes and she's in there for an hour, and she was just grossed out. She's like, I cannot stand the smells. So that's why it's important that we have these discussions, because the students, they get captured by the TV and it's like, that is so exciting and this and that, but they don't show you everything, right? Where's Downey? Thomas Downey High School. That's where I graduated from. Hello. Okay, so thank you so much for having me, and have a great day.
Okay,